I'm not
beeps
sure.
or something going by my house while there's a cricket cabinet
Yes, sir. We're all set.
on the other side.
Call this Board of Supervisors meeting to order. Supervisor McGowan, please lead us in the pledge.
Unmute.
Oh, well, I'll
Pledge allegiance.
ask the clerk to call the roll call.
Mr. Conover. Mr. Leggett.
Here.
Mr. Diamond.
Here.
Mr. McDevitt.
Here.
Ms. Bramer.
Here.
Mr. Bruno.
Here.
Mr. Driscoll.
Here.
Mrs. Frazier. Here. Mr. Drossy. Ms. Hogan.
Here.
Mr. Dickinson. Mr. Dickinson. I can see you on Zoom, so I'm going to mark you as here. Mr. Merlino. Mr. Stroud.
Yeah.
Mr. Wild.
Here.
Mr. McGowan.
Here
Ms. Seaver.
for Zoom.
Mr. Beatty. Mr. Thomas.
Here.
Ms. Runyon. Chairman Garrity.
Here.
Quorum is established.
Okay. First item of business, motion to approve the minutes of the August 19th, 2022 meeting, subject to correction by the clerk. Motion by Supervisor Frazier, second by Supervisor Bruno. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed, carried. Next, we'll open a public hearing on proposed local law number 3 of 2022. And I'll request the clerk to read the notice of public hearing.
Notice is hereby given that the Board of Supervisors of the County of Warren, New York is considering the adoption of a proposed local law number 3 for the year 2022 entitled a local law amending local law number 1 of 2022, a local law fixing the salaries of certain county officers and employees of Warren County to include interim salary increases. Notice is further given that pursuant to a resolution adopted by the Board of Supervisors on August 19th, 2022, a public hearing will be held by the Board of Supervisors on September 1st, 2022 at 12 p.m. in the Supervisors' rooms at the Warren County Municipal Center, 1340 State Route 9, Queensbury, New York, at which time and place all persons interested in the matter of such proposed local law number 3 for the year 2022 will be heard concerning same. A copy of said local law is available for inspection during regular business hours by contacting the clerk of the Board of Supervisors at the above stated address and may be viewed on the Warren County website.
Okay. Mr. Lehman, I know you have a public comment you'd like to read into the record.
Good afternoon, Chairman. Yes, we have a comment that was emailed in from an individual representing themselves as June Maxim. It reads, I wish to comment for the public hearing today on the proposal to amend the local law 1 of 2022, fixing the salaries of certain county officers. I am strenuously opposed to increasing the salary of the county attorney to $154,503, currently $148,783, up from the prior attorney's $123,000. The current county attorney has been in the position since November 3rd, 2021, not even a year. At the time that Sieber and Bramer tapped him for the position, the salary for the county attorney, a female, was $121,077. The budgeted salary for the county attorney for 2022 was $123,000. However, Sieber, Bramer, Beatty et al. Gave the incoming male county attorney a $27,000 hike in salary, plus creating a new $50,000 legal secretary position so he could bring his own personal secretary with him from the outside without civil service appointment, giving her 5 paid vacation days right off the bat when other new employees have to work a year before gaining the same benefits. Now, on top of the $27,000 salary hike for the incoming new attorney and a new position allowing him to hire his own secretary at county expense, a perk the former county attorney did not have, less than a year later, we are proposing giving him yet another $6,000 salary increase, raising the position $33,000 in less than a year, plus the new $50,000 position, which likely would not have been created had this particular individual not been hired. Additionally, he still unethically practiced criminal law at the same time, which appears to violate the Code of Professional Responsibility. I am opposed. Gene Maxim, North Country Gazette. That's the end of the comment.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Comments from members of the board? Supervisor Seamer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick response to our public comment here today for the record to reflect that when County Attorney Elman applied for the job, that there wasn't a single female that applied for the position. His being hired had nothing to do with gender. It had everything to do with experience and expertise. So just as we make assumptions or gossip is perpetrated, or in these instances, we are having Zoom or emailed comments into the record. I want it to be clear on the fact that County Attorney Elman was hired and his salary was determined based on his experience, his expertise, and the levels of salary here at the county. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments by any board members on the local law, proposed local law number 3? Supervisor Bramer.
Thank you so much. You know, I do have a little bit of a concern about the county attorney's salary being increased after only being here for 1 year. However, I also asked for the elected officials to be removed, and that's not happening. So I'm going to support the local law as it stands. Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody on Zoom? I don't see any hands up. Is there somebody on Zoom? Brad, Supervisor McGowan? Yes. Did you? No, you're okay. Okay, sorry. I see the hand.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else in our room? No? Any other public comments on local law number 3, Don?
No, there's nothing on YouTube.
Okay. Nobody else wish to comment? So I'll declare the public hearing closed and we'll move on to the agenda. Okay, now there's privilege of the floor and public comment on anything that we may discuss today. Anybody wish to comment? Supervisor Seaver.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the Personnel and Finance meeting today, which was again a lengthy meeting, concerns were raised regarding the committee schedule. And I would like this board, since we do have a majority, we have a quorum here today, and perhaps at the time of resolutions or even the next meeting to consider. I brought up at finance, although it wasn't discussed by the committee members. I assume the chairman of finance did that because, of course, we were on such a time schedule to get to this meeting, which we were already late on. But could this board please consider having the county attorney report his report at the full board meeting? We're already so limited in terms of our committee assignments and equal representation or fair representation to all of our constituents. It would be nice to have the county attorney, who we've discussed this idea before, report to the entire board. It would allow all of us to ask questions and to debate issues and not be limited just to the personnel committee. It was mentioned that this could be something that we look at next year, but we still have 5 very long months of meetings. And we also have incredibly important information that's coming from the county attorney that all of us should have an opportunity to hear, including any lawsuits that are filed against the county, any that are dismissed, any that are settled. We also, I mean, there's so many things that we could be talking about with the county attorney. And as we just heard from a member of the public, that there's concern regarding the salary, I think that the accountability to the entire board would be warranted. I know legislative is looking at removing the second meeting, and just under privilege of the floor, I'd like to say that we haven't canceled one all year. Just today, we all saw how important it is with public hearings. There is no reason why the county attorney couldn't give his report at the second board meeting. And we could also do that at 4 or 5 o'clock so that the public could have an opportunity to attend. That would also alleviate the issue with the personnel and finance scheduling. Or you could just get rid of the first day of committees altogether and just have it be a full board meeting where we all would be able to ask questions and debate and adhere to open meeting laws. Thank you for that consideration.
I will point out that we do have on every agenda the report from the county attorney.
Correct, but may I?
Sure.
Thank you. Correct. But many times these meetings, particularly our third one of the month, they're so long and they're so jam-packed with information that many times we've opted not even to go into executive session here about lawsuits because it's been so long. So I think it would give an opportunity, at least at the second board meeting, for all of us to hear from our county attorney, but it would also free up the personnel chairman in his meetings to have that moved over to the full board and make that meeting a little more efficient. But I do think it would be fair to our constituents and to every member on this board to be able to take part in that dialogue with the county attorney.
Thank you. Okay, any other public comments? Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
who is it? Supervisor Hogan?
Brad McGowan.
Brad?
No, Brad McGowan.
Go ahead, Brad.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I see Dan is back. We had a very good county facility meeting last week on the 23rd. And if anybody has a chance to go back and read the minutes or watch it online, it was very good and very informative on the, moving forward with the regional corners case center. So if anybody didn't happen to see the meeting or did it, it was very interesting, and it was awesome to have Dr. Sikorica there, and the show is really the need that we really should be looking or moving forward on. So thank you.
Supervisor Hogan.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to ask for at our next board meeting, a report from the county administrator on what correspondence we read aloud and what we don't. It seems like we're following a little bit of an inconsistent practice here. And going forward, I just, for my own purposes, would like to know, what we're going to read into record and what we're not. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comment? Supervisor Bremer.
Thank you. I mean, as long as we are still meeting by Zoom under the emergency order, we allow people to come onto Zoom to make their public comments and to come in person. So I am curious about that, what happened earlier today too. And on the Zoom, again, I would ask that this board consider the rules allowing us to have Zoom meetings going forward. As you can see today, we have several members who are appearing by Zoom and able to participate in the meeting. I think it's an important way that we continue that going forward.
Thank you. Anyone else? Supervisor Leggett?
Sorry, just for clarification, in order to participate after the executive order is lifted, you would need to have extenuating circumstances in order to appear as the folks do that are on here now. And
Thank you. It just on that note, perhaps at the appropriate time, we could hear from the county attorney. It's my understanding that unless we pass the local law, which this board has decided not to do, or maybe all that's needed now is a resolution. There was concern before if it was a resolution or local law, but very similar to what Washington County did. We aren't going to be able to meet in extenuating circumstances if we don't pass something. It all goes back to how it was pre-COVID. So unless I'm misunderstanding the law, I would like to have our county attorney, maybe during his report, talk about what that means to all of us after September 15th. We could absolutely do what Washington County did and what many other counties have done. But if we're going to all be required to be here in person without extenuating circumstances, then I also think that the public comment, what's happening with that should also be here in person. And we should continue to stream our meetings, put them on YouTube Live so the public can see it in real time. But that's a huge concern, and it's one that we're continuing to kick down the road. So I do hope that we learn more about it. And I hope you're right, Supervisor Leggett. I don't know.
Attorney Elman, do you want to respond now or do you?
That's up to the board. It might be best for me to address it during my report. I'll just add it to my report.
All right, thank you. Supervisor Diamond.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you look at the personnel agenda today, on the back page under social services, there seems to be 3 to 4 resignations. And if you look at salaries, one position paid 47,000, the other two are 56. My concern is, are we having, what type of meetings are we having when employees depart, and what is the outcome coming back to the county administrator in regards to them? These are pretty good salaries. And I brought this up at the personnel committee a couple of months ago, and I really didn't have any answers to my questions, but it doesn't appear that it's just salary related. We look at that in a greater detail and find out why we still have people resigning on a regular basis from the social services department. Report back at the next meeting. Maybe there's something else other than just salaries that are causing this, creating this exit of people resigning.
Yeah, there's 2 resignations in this packet. 3 resignations and a promotion.
Retirement and promotion.
Yeah.
I think, at the salaries, their base salaries are $56,000. And if you look at the grade 18 on top of your base salary, it's got to be a significant amount of money.
Okay.
Just not a lot in life based on salary.
Supervisor Driscoll.
Thank you, Chairman. And I have no problem in investigating that, but I can tell you from experience working in the not-for-profit sector that there are a number of employers, Glens Falls Hospital, Hudson Headwaters, Adirondack Health Institute, that are paying better than the county is. Continue to take qualified individuals. At Catholic Charities, they currently have 3 vacancies that they're trying to fill. And a lot of my colleagues in the not-for-profit sector, like a lot of businesses, are having a hard time attracting people because opportunities elsewhere, including salary, but also the opportunity to work remotely is a real attractive benefit that a lot of other, that the county and other not-for-profits can't afford their new hires. So thank you, but I have no issue in taking a look at that. And I would encourage all departments to look at that.
Thank you. Okay. Nothing else to be said, Supervisor Brown.
Yeah, regarding the, thank you, Mr. Chairman, regarding the meetings via Zoom, et cetera. I sit on the board of the Warren Washington County IDA, as does Supervisor Wild, and Supervisor Leggett is the vice chairman. We fashioned a resolution, I believe, with a set of criteria that would allow us to continue conducting our meetings via Zoom. So we could bring that to this board sometime, and it would be an outline for consideration to do that. It describes, I believe, what describes what extenuating circumstances are or will be allowed under that, and chime in anytime, either one of you, if you agree.
Thank you, Dan. Okay.
Thank you.
My report this month is very short. I just along with many others, attended the Lake George Village wastewater treatment plant dedication. It was we had a tour of the plant. It's state of the art, and even though it costs quite a few dollars, it will service the area in Lake George for many years to come. So nice job. And that's my report. Does any chairman of any committee wish to report anything this meeting? No? Okay. County Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's been a busy month with a lot of budget reviews there. We will be finishing up tomorrow on those. That's where most of the time has been spent. Also attended the ribbon cutting for the wastewater treatment plant. Very nice turnout there. That's my report at this time for this meeting. Thank you.
Okay, report of County Attorney.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I will start with the topic on the open meetings law. So back in June of 22, or at least effective June of 2022, the legislature amended the open meetings law to provide a new provision, which is section 103A. And 103A would permit a municipal public body to conduct video conferencing under extraordinary circumstances. The statute states a couple of situations that would be extraordinary circumstances, but it does not define what an extraordinary circumstance means or would involve. There's been some commentary in the state of New York that it can mean anything that the public body chooses it to mean. So in summary, it's a decision that this board would have to make, should it move forward with a plan to enact a local law, because local law is the requirement, to enact by local law the ability to continue to conduct remote video conferencing when extraordinary circumstances exist. There's a lot of details. I know I provided an attorney opinion some months ago before this initially came in front of the committee for consideration. And I can certainly provide that to the members of the Board of Supervisors for a further review. Nothing has changed with the statute. So the contents of that opinion remain the same. And there still are some ambiguities, I believe, as to how some particular areas of the application will work out, which we're only going to understand with the passage of time as different public bodies get challenged on their legislation. And court cases arise with decisions on the statutory language. The big picture question, I think, for the board and for the county as a whole is whether or not the board desires to have the ability to conduct proceedings through remote video conferencing for members of the board once the emergency powers and the state of emergency is no longer extended by the government. So again, there's a lot of little details. I don't know if there's any particular or specific questions I can answer at this time concerning that topic. But my legal recommendation as the county attorney is the big picture question of whether or not the county wants to pursue this opportunity through a local law.
Any questions for the county attorney? Supervisor Seaver.
Thank you, Chairman Garrity. Perhaps we can, before I know, you did issue a legal memo. I had some questions about privilege of the floor as it related to the public. Those questions still remain, and perhaps as the board considers doing something, and I hope that they do, if not today, in the near future. If I still believe that the public could be afforded an opportunity to be heard remotely, should we provide the Zoom link at the time of the privilege of the floor, twice a meeting or whenever during committee meetings, where the public would turn their video on and be seen, state their name. That way, you know, it is that person and not someone made up on YouTube or chat or whatever. We know who they are, just like we all have to be able to be seen and be heard. If we pass a local law, we can't just, chat in and say we're present at these meetings. So I know that was something that you were looking at before, but that would be my recommendation. And I'm wondering if that's something we can work into a possible solution.
Well, the requirements of the statute are fairly straightforward. That for any meeting where the local law is going to be used and activated, meaning that members will be able to participate at that particular meeting. It's not, this isn't a blanket. I haven't seen where it's a blanket authorization that, like we have now, where you just choose not to show up and you can appear remotely. There's usually some trigger event or trigger notice that's provided to the clerk so that before the meeting starts, it can be made clear to the members and to the public that this particular meeting is going to be held pursuant to the local law, which has very specific requirements. Every single member of the board must be able to be clearly heard, seen, and identified. I don't want to get into particulars, but it's my understanding that on occasion, that's a problem. So there's a technology piece and an application piece that would need to be hopefully resolved and worked out if the board goes in that direction. Because if a member at any point is unable to be heard, seen, and identified, that's a violation of the open meetings law, which creates the ability for someone to sue the county. I'm not going to go through each of those little specific requirements, but one in particular is that when a meeting's being held through video conferencing and a member attends through video conferencing, the public is also given the same opportunity to view and participate in the proceedings remotely in real time. So public comment or public participation would be authorized through Zoom or through video conference as well for a session when extraordinary circumstances apply and one or more members are appearing remotely. The other questions asked by the supervisor from Queensberry, I think more have to do with the rules and procedures for public participation that the county has enacted. And I hope my current version is resolution 312 of 2015, which I believe is the most current version. And I don't have an immediate answer on the specific requests or questions, but that would arguably be something that could be dealt with through the rules, through the existing policy that the county has regarding public participation at meetings. 103A on the open meetings law is not about public's participation or providing the public some right to participate by video conference or observe through video the proceedings, although it's encouraged. The only specific occasion where the public receives a right or a benefit under that new open meetings law statute is when the board determines per their local law that this proceeding is going to be held remotely for at least one member. And that is that then members of the public can also participate remotely.
Do you have any more on the report today?
I do. I'm going to ask that to go into executive session so I may report on litigation that's ongoing against the County of Warren. Specifically, I will be discussing two lawsuits, Joshua Rouse versus Berkshire Farm Center of Youth for Youth, to include the County of Warren. And the second matter is Kathleen Innes versus the County of Warren, Warren County Correctional Facility and others.
We have a motion, go to executive session. Motion by Supervisor Frazier, do we have a second? Supervisor Stroud, any discussion on going in executive session? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Here, we'll go into executive session. Please, once we clear the screen. Supervisor Stroud, can you close the back door? Yep. Thank you.
Mhm.